guys! Today I will be doing my March wrap-up. In the month of March I read 7 books, which is pretty crazy but also understandable because I had spring break in the month of March. Also, disclaimer, one of the most important books I read this month I got from the library, so I am filming this video a whole week early just so I can show you this book before it's due, which is why you will see my shirt change. Alright, let's get started. The first book I finished this month qualifies as a book based on a true story. And that book is Dear Girls Above Me by Charlie McDowell. This book is about a single guy named Charlie who is very unlucky in love, and he finds out that he can overhear all of the conversations of the 2 girls who live above him, and he decides to record them and put them on Twitter because they're kind of stupid and funny. And he realizes that he can put some of these ideas and things they say into practice, so he starts to do that. This book is pretty funny, but it was not what I was expecting. It does take a turn towards the middle, and it starts to focus on him and his roommate more towards the end, and not so much on him and his romantic endeavors like I thought it was going to. So, although it was funny, I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was a book published in 2015. And okay, this is the most important and most exciting book I have in this entire wrap-up, and that is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. This book I got from the library, and as soon as I found out my library carried it, I put that book on hold, and I am the first person to ever read this copy. This book follows a magician named Kel who has the power to teleport, sort of, through different Londons. There's Grey London, White London, Red London, which is where he's from, and then there's Black London, which is like closed off, no one can go there. And he meets this girl named Lila, and she kind of decides that she wants to travel along with him because she wants to go on an adventure because she's from boring Grey London. And there is lots of drama that ensues. First of all, the magic system is really cool because there are certain Londons that are magical and certain Londons that have like no magic at all. This kind of ends on a cliffhanger, so I hope there is a sequel coming soon. I gave this book 5 stars, 4.5 stars, but 5 stars on Goodreads because there was just a little bit of stuff that I was just all like about, but for the most part it was fantastic. Would recommend everybody read this. It's beautiful too. Look at that, right? How is she going to top the cover for a sequel? After that, I read 3 books, and they all qualify as a book I can finish in a day. And you will see why I'm counting that all as one, because the next books that I read were books 5, 6, and 7 in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series by Jeff Kinney. I absolutely love this series. So I read The Ugly Truth, Cabin Fever, and The Third Wheel, and all of them were pretty good. I would have to say that my favorite out of these was The Ugly Truth because it was really, really funny. If you don't like reading and you just want something that's like super funny and kind of weird, go with this series because it has pictures and the pictures are really funny, and I was just dying of laughter. And I finished A Darker Shade of Magic during spring break pretty early, and so I was just like, well, I guess I can read these, and I finished each of these while I was on spring break. It is like a middle grade series and it's meant for like preteen boys, but I don't even care because it's so funny. So I gave each of these about a 3.5, 4 stars on Goodreads. Some of them were better than others. Like I said, my favorite of these 3 that I read was The Ugly Truth. But yes, they're all ridiculous. You should read them. Now let's cut to me wearing a different outfit. Okay. Hey guys, I look like an absolute hot mess, but today is March 31st and I have finished 2 more books for the month, so I will continue with my wrap-up as already in progress. The 6th book I read in the month of March qualifies as a book from more than 100 years ago. So instead of reading a more conventional classic, I decided to go with The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo. Fun fact about me, but my favorite film of all time is Disney's version of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And because it is being turned into a Broadway musical and there's just lots of hype about it, and because I'm in my senior year of college and I'm just really stressed out, the one thing that calms me down is The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So I decided to read the book. I started this book back in November, but I couldn't finish it because I ended up hating all of the townspeople. but I picked it up again in March and I decided to go with it, and I actually really liked it. I knew it was going to be a lot different from the Disney movie, but I'm the kind of person who can separate movies from books, so I thought it was really good. It's very complex and kind of dark. All the characters are idiots, but it was just so great reading it and learning more about everything and the world and the people and their motivations and their desires. Quite a few of my friends know how I feel about this book because I was just stomping around everybody giving my feels. But I gave this book 3.5 stars. I can't remember if I gave it 3 or 4 stars on Goodreads, but about 3.5 stars because it was right in the middle, because there were some parts and I'm just all like, oh, okay, I understand why you're telling me this information, Victor Hugo, but it's like real boring. But then there were other parts that I'm all like, oh my gosh, so much drama. This book was great. The final book I read in March, and I got it in right under the wire, was a book set in high school, and I went with Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. Okay, so first of all, I have had this book on my shelf for about 2 years and I still hadn't read it, and I did really want to because I like John Green's later books, which this will qualify as kind of his like later half that I seem to enjoy. And I seem to only like David Levithan when he's writing with someone else, for example Rachel Kahn, who seems to be the only person he's written books with. So I was actually really excited to read this, and I literally had like no idea what this book was. I just knew there were 2 guys in high school named Will Grayson. They were both named Will Grayson, and that they had like a gay friend who's throwing a musical, and that's pretty much all I knew about it. And I actually really enjoyed this book. I read it alongside with the audiobook, and the audiobook is performed by two different male actors, and they were both phenomenal. You could totally tell which actor was reading John Green's Will and which actor was reading Levithan's Will, and they were both amazing. If you have if you don't want to read this book, please just listen to the audiobook because it is phenomenal. One of the best audiobooks I've ever heard in my life. But anyway, this book was great. I really enjoyed it. I liked it so much more than I thought. Not like I had low expectations going into it, but I was like, oh my gosh, I'm definitely going to be keeping this audiobook, and I'm definitely going to be reading this book again because it was great, and the writing style is very different. Even though it can get a little confusing, at first you definitely know which Will is which Will. And it's just very colorful and loud and very emotional too. I don't get emotionally connected to characters, but I like felt for David Levithan's Will Grayson so much. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even with him. And it just made me laugh, and I was just like, oh my gosh, no, at some parts. So there was that too. So I gave this book 5 stars on Goodreads because it was that good. Like, so good. One of my, now it's literally my favorite David Levithan book because his writing in this book I absolutely loved, and it's very hard for me to like his books because I don't really like David Levithan's books, but this one is definitely my favorite of his because it was so great. Okay, so that concludes my March wrap-up. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to be posting more videos soon. I have some videos some planned, but I just haven't done them yet because I've been super busy and my friends are super busy, and I'm going to be moving out soon, so I'm gonna have to start deconstructing my bookshelf and putting it all away, which is sad. Okay, all the information that is usually down below is down below. Alright, bye!